Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Jayam Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udidiyet Nashvitaishu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. So continuing with the discussion on Prabhupada Lilamrita by Srila Goswami, chapter 50th, and describing about his books. Prabhupada's writings also combated the false teachings of bogus yogis, gurus, and incarnations, so-called incarnations, who had appeared like a tidal wave of falsity in Kali Yuga, both in India and in the West. His writings criticized modern political institutions also, analyzing why monarchies fell, why democracy was also falling, and how dictatorship would increasingly harass the citizens. The government's policies of abusive taxation and their propaganda to bring people to the cities to work in the factories, abandoning simple agrarian life, were all discussed in light of the scriptures. Another beauty of Prabhupada's purports, he criticized everything: political institutions, industrialists, democracy, dictatorship, but he criticized in the light of the scriptures, what the scriptures say, not what his thinking is. And that is also one of the reasons. Otherwise, all these politicians, they are so powerful, they could have banned the books. But he is not saying anything on his own. He said or wrote everything, whatever the scriptures are saying. So even the politicians could not do anything against it. They tried. In America, there were court cases, um, but the court cases was basically because so many youngsters they were joining this ISKCON movement, and the society or the leaders they got scared. What is that? What is this happening? And in New York, there was a case, and they said, "Oh, the students or the youngsters are being brainwashed by ISKCON." And they hired a person, Patrick something, and he was called deprogrammer. They say Americans, they can do crazy things. So he was called deprogrammer. So deprogrammer means he would kidnap these devotees, brahmacharis and brahmacharinis, and take them back either to their parents' house or to his place. And deprogram means whatever they have learned, he would try to tell them, "Oh, this is bad, what you have learned," and just bring them back into the uh, so-called normal society. And he would be hired by the parents of all these brahmacharis and brahmacharinis. Some devotees got influenced by him, but some, like he would keep them in a room, and whatever the procedure was, he would not torture them, but something like. And he would keep them in a room and try to teach them the teachings of Christ and against the teachings of whatever ISKCON has given. And devotees, some devotees who did not get deprogrammed, who did not leave Prabhupada, they said we would just sit in that room and chant whole day. What else to do? And that guy Patrick, he got scared that these guys are going to influence my other clients. So the thing was, they could not do anything against his books. There was the court case, and then and devotees were called in the court, and devotees said to the judge and the jury, that there was a jury system, "You read these books, And this was suggested by Prabhupada. He said, "You tell them, okay, here are the books, you read and find out where's the mistake, what we are trying to follow." And Prabhupada's point was, if they read my books, even they will change. And this is what happened. I mean, whether they changed or not, but they read Prabhupada's books and they just dismissed the case. There's nothing wrong with the books and nothing wrong with the philosophy, what these boys are trying to follow. So this is the power of Prabhupada's books. In his travels, Srila Prabhupada had observed the rampant degradation of human society, sexual liberation, the latest fads in intoxication, and the vicious crimes of animal slaughter and meat eating. A Bhagavad Gita purport dealt specifically with the threat of nuclear holocaust. So he current situation, the society what it was going through, Prabhupada even covered that, but in the light of the scriptures. Such people are considered the enemies of the world because ultimately they will invent to create something which will bring destruction to all. Indirectly, this verse anticipates the invention of nuclear weapons, of which the world is today very proud. And if you remember, lately there was a movie and about this nuclear weapons, and he did say that he was influenced by Bhagavad Gita, the shloka of Bhagavad Gita. Of course, uh, he got influenced in a wrong way, but he was influenced. At any moment, war may take place, and these atomic weapons may create havoc. Such things are created solely for the destruction of the world, and this is indicated here. Due to godlessness, such weapons are invented in human society. They are not meant for the peace and prosperity of the world. So, the person who invented this atomic weapon or nuclear weapon, he never thought. He thought this is for the peace. I mean, this could be, energy could be used in nice ways to detonate places and to build dams or this or that. But he never thought it could be used in the wrong way. And, and the nuclear weapons are being used in the wrong way. Prabhupada's criticisms were strong and authoritative, befitting a true acharya. His uncompromising spirit was appealing. He was not a timid scholar pointing out some obscure historical references. Yet, underlying his writing, a humble tone of request spoke to the heart. As a servant of Krishna, he asks everyone to please take up Krishna consciousness and be restored to his original constitutional position of eternity, bliss, and knowledge. So he requested everyone, so beyond any sectarian vision. He requested everyone. Just take up this process and and be happy and be restored in the original position. Why we are suffering in Maya? It's not just for Indians, not only for Hindus, it's for everybody all over the world. Prabhupada was making his books practical, but to do so required care and deep meditation. He combined the thoughtfulness of a textual scholar with the practical applications of a transcendental social and political reformer. So many scholars had already presented the English editions of Bhagavad Gita, yet not a single reader had become a devotee of Krishna. Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, as it is, however, was creating thousands of devotees. This real beauty of Prabhupada's books. It was really transforming the hearts of people. Others, they just wrote their commentaries uh, just for the sake of writing. They themselves did not become devotees. And in Gita, essence of Bhagavad Gita, it happens in two shlokas. Same shloka appears twice. Manmana bhav madbhakta madhyaji mam namaskuru. And if the writer of the commentary doesn't understand this verse and doesn't understand me, doesn't take up, then what is the point in writing the commentaries? But people do, right? Just like yesterday I posted that video and he was saying, oh, Bhagavad Gita means Sankhya Yoga. Only Sankhya. What does it mean? Only Sankhya. What does it mean? Man manabha man bhakta madhyaji mam namaskuru. What does it mean? Sarva dharman parityaja mam ekam sharanam praja. Krishna is clearly saying that. Where is Sankhya in this? But everybody just interprets Bhagavad Gita or other scriptures in their own ways. And then they try to come up with their own philosophies or commentaries and just so that they can be respected in the scholarly academic circles. But this is not the purpose of Bhagavad Gita. Being respected in any circle means we are still in the bodily conception of life. Respect is only for the body, not for the soul. The so-called respect. And this body, Krishna in second chapter only, from the beginning of his instructions to Arjuna, he just discarded it. You are not this body. So what are we attached to? But these so-called scholars, they don't understand. More than simply rendering valuable Vedic literatures, Srila Prabhupada had come to the West, starting in the New York City, to establish a way of life based on that Vedic literature. Consequently, he had gained first-hand experience in bringing the most materialistic persons to the standard of renunciation and devotional service. Most materialistic persons, that is, New Yorkers, everything was there, wonderful life, facilities, everything. But they were frustrated. The youngsters, they were frustrated. His books therefore reflected these practical realizations, and many times in his purports, he would relate his difficulties and triumphs in trying to introduce spiritual principles within materialistic society. Because he had understood the problems, not just like Mayavadi say, this is all illusion, everything is illusion, Brahma Satya Jagan Mithya. So that means you don't have any problems. It's an illusion. No, problem is there. The world is there, real. It's all energy of the Lord. It's real. Our misconception is when we think I'm the controller, proprietor, enjoyer of this material world. That is Maya. That is illusory. Just like they give example of mirage, water in the desert. They say there is no water. In the desert, when we're thirsty, we're trying to drink water. We see the reflection of the sun on the sand, it looks like there is water there, but when somebody goes there is no water. But that doesn't mean the real water does not exist. Real water is there, not in the desert, but it does exist. So these Mayavadis, they say everything is illusory. Everything is illusion. No. The illusion is our conception of enjoying it, of controlling it. Otherwise, material energy is there. And devotees go beyond this, the material energy being real and temporary, yes, it is temporary. But they go beyond. They use everything in service of Krishna. Then everything becomes spiritual. Even the laptop and iPhone, everything can be used in service of Krishna. So it's not illusion. But this is what Mayavadis say. Oh, your problems, it's all illusion. Get over it, get above it. No. Problems are there. Now, how to deal with them in a Krishna conscious way means we have to transcend those problems and And while dealing with those problems, we still serve Krishna and we beg for Krishna's mercy to help getting rid of those problems. Then it is real. In the sixth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, he had presented the story of Daksha's cursing Narad Muni after Narad had instructed Daksha's sons in pure Krishna consciousness. The jealous father, considering Narad his enemy, had cursed him to be always traveling without any home. In his commentary, Srila Prabhupada had written that he has also been cursed by the parents of his disciples. Therefore, despite his having many centers around the world, he had to constantly travel and preach. So he was cursed by the parents of his disciples. They would say that he has taken away our nice, bright boy or girl, and, and they don't even come back home. And not just a parent, one place also Prabhupada said that he was cursed by the Brahmins of India, Smartha Brahmins, saying that he's giving sannyas and not just sannyas, sacred thread, Brahman Diksha to all these Malechas and Yavans. So, so Prabhupada said, that's why I've been cursed and I have to continuously travel and preach. Of course, it was good for the world, for the fallen souls, but at the same time, Prabhupada health and his desire to write books, that could not be taken care of. And in the seventh canto, while commenting on the demon Hiranyakashipu's harassment of his son Prahlad, Srila Prabhupada had related the difficulties of the ISKCON devotees in distributing books amid the harassment of Hiranyakashipu's modern counterparts. Yes, there are difficulties in distributing books or in preaching, but at the same time, when the difficulties are there, devotees do take shelter of Prabhupada, take shelter of Krishna, holy name, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So makes their bhakti even stronger. But yes, difficulties are there. Devotees, not in India, but outside, they were sometimes put in jail. They were arrested, or sometimes they were harassed by different gangs. Yes, yes, devotees have faced all sorts of problems. Once, one Mataji, she was distributing books, and she approached a person, and I think she gave him Krishna book. And the person, no, many times it happens, and the person must be going through some difficulties on his own, uh, some mental issues, some problems, family problems. So he and Europe, they are, I mean, physically big people. So he just took that book, tore it up, threw it away, and he grabbed the hair of that girl, Mataji, and threw her down on the ground, on the road. And she hit the road, she was hurt, she was bleeding, and then that the person left. And the passers-by, somehow they helped her get up and helped her, okay, she was bleeding, so she needed some medical help and all that. But so happened after a few days or maybe a few weeks, that person came to the temple, local temple, and he was looking for the book, and then he saw that girl, and then he apologized to her, and then he told her that I was going through a very rough time, and but my behavior doesn't justify, and he started chanting. I don't know if he became a devotee or not, but he started chanting. So many difficulties devotees have been through. At that time, there was East Germany and West Germany. There were two different countries. They were separated after Second World War. And East Germany, because it was influenced by Russia, Communist Party, so they had blocked pretty much everything coming from West. Now, devotees from West Germany wanted to help people of East Germany, but they could not take the books. So there were trains going from West to East Germany, and devotees would hang on from underneath the train. I don't think it would be too long a journey, but whatever, however long it takes. And they would keep the books in the book bag and they would hang from underneath the train, and then they'll get down in East Germany and somehow give books to their contacts. They have taken so much of risk. In Russia was even worst that time. In Russia, again, communist country, they would not allow anything that was new or Western. And they arrested so many devotees. There is a book by, I'm forgetting the name of the devotee, The Salted Bread. Russian police or KGB also, they arrested devotees and put them in jail in Siberia. Cold, bitter cold. And and the devotees would still not give up chanting. They would still be chanting, although they were being tortured. They were given hard bread to eat. And devotees would protest, no, we only eat what is offered to Krishna. So they would take this bread, make them just take pieces of bread and round them up, make them like beads, and they would chant on those beads because the bread would be so hard, it would act like wood. It's cold weather, Siberia, is very, very cold. And they would chant on those beads. Many, I think few devotees died also over there. But then later, somehow Krishna's arrangement, Krishna's mercy, they were released. And, and, and at that time, devotees could not even take the full books in Russia to distribute. So um, they had the printing press, so they would just print parts of the books, like part of Bhagavad Gita, maybe say one chapter, and just staple it together and distribute it. And distribution was also not easy. Openly, they could not distribute because it could be anybody. Anybody could be KGB agent. So difficult. In in Africa, I think we lost more devotees, but they were killed in Africa than in any other place. So much of hardship they have gone through, and still, it's not that open. In China, Prabhupada had sent Tamal Krish Maharaj to China to preach. And when Prabhupada was there, he could not go, but Prabhupada's order was there. So after Prabhupada left, then 1 year, I don't know which year, Tamal Krish Maharaj decided to go to China. So they had to preach like undercover. So once there was initiation ceremony, Tamal Krish Maharaj was conducted in a hotel in China, in a room. And he had his disciples in the lobby and everywhere planted. So if the police comes, they should inform him. And in the hotel room, initiation was going on. In whichever way, because I don't think they could do full yajna. And the devotee came running from the lobby. Oh, police is here. And Tamal Krishna was describing the him and all his so-called disciples, they were not initiated yet. So they all jumped from window and ran away and ran in different directions with that, okay, in the evening we'll meet at this place. They all ran away in different directions. So much of risk they have taken. And yes, as Maharaj is saying, harassment of Hiranyakashipu's modern counterparts, because they don't want uh, bhakti to grow or people to have different ideas of life. Okay, I guess we can stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments? Okay, you all have safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.